Hello, Angus.
Hey, Chris. Hey, William.
Oh my goodness, the semi-final allocation draw took place in Tel Aviv today, and we now know which countries will sing in which semi-final and whether they're in the first half or the second half. Shall we talk about it? Let's do
Let's do
this!
this.
Kicking things off with the first semi-final, the running order is as follows. In the first half, we have Slovenia, followed by Belarus, then Czech Republic. That, of course, will be the Friend of a Friend song from Lake Malawi. Then we have Montenegro. Then we have Tomta from Cyprus, Serbia, Finland, Poland, and Hungary.
And then starting the second half, we have Estonia, Portugal, San Marino, Iceland, Georgia, Australia, Belgium, Ukraine, and finally Greece.
And Chris, we of course have some other countries voting in this semi-final, and they are...
So we've got Israel, France, and Spain are the big five countries and the host country who are voting in this semi-final.
So let's just preface this. It's really early to predict anything. Last year, we all thought the second semifinal was the semifinal of death and the first semifinal was easy. And ultimately, the first semifinal was one of the strongest in history and the second semifinal less so. I think this year, the semifinal one looks like the weaker semifinal. We've got a lot of countries that struggle to qualify. Slovenia, Belarus, Czech Republic has a checkered history. Montenegro, Cyprus has a checkered history, even if, Eleni slayed. Finland, Poland, Hungary. There's just Portugal, which has won, of course, but has struggled. San Marino, which has struggled. Iceland, Georgia, Greece in recent years. So this looks wide open. It seems like countries that in the past have struggled to make it through have a real shot. The other point I'll open with is that Tomta, this is looking good for her. Obviously, she's going to get points from Greece, but our girl is also from Georgia. She's going to get those points from Georgia, plus she's got a kick-ass song. So our girl is going through safely. Angus.
I think you say weaker, I say more open. I'm trying to be more positive in the new year. And I think definitely, kind of the Ukraine and Australia aside, this is not a semi-final with a lot of countries you automatically see qualifying year after year. I agree for Cyprus. I think it looks good, although being drawn in the first half, perhaps a risk she will be the one opening the show with a bang. We'll see, because obviously the producers like to play around depending on the staging and kind of give preference to what they want to go through to the Saturday night. It's the first time Australia's in the second half. They don't really struggle, but this should probably help them even more, even if they were to actually need the help of getting through. But yeah, on paper, you think this is going to be the more open. For some reason, I feel quite good for Estonia, and I think I've seen a lot of people saying this looks promising for them. But yeah, and Belgium as well. It's the first time they've been in the second half, I think, in ages. So you kind of hope that will be a good news for them results. But yeah, it's very early, but this does seem much more open. There's much kind of more to play for here, I would say. And I don't think anybody's to say out of the running as yet. It's very, very wide open.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of countries where I'm like, you could have maybe had a slightly better draw. Iceland, Iceland really are the ones that stand out for me, just because they only really have Finland in terms of the Nordic support, whereas Finland at least have Estonia. They have that kind of slight Baltic leaning thing going on as well. So Iceland, as we've seen recently, have really struggled to qualify. So that could be a real issue for them, I fear. But otherwise, yeah, it does feel very open. There's only a few places like Serbia and Montenegro, obviously. There's Greece and Cyprus. But otherwise, it's kind of not a lot of really obvious voting patterns. It's more subtle ones that you can see, especially compared with the second semi-final.
Yeah, and I think the other good thing for Portugal, but also Belgium, is France is voting in this semi-final and historically throws big points in their direction. I think it's very open to say. And while equally, Greece and Cyprus, I believe, have been in the same semi-final for the past 4 years now, and it has not always worked out in Greece's favour, but certainly has in Cyprus's. So perhaps Greece are due some kind of good luck or return on investment in that particular alliance. But yeah, I mean, nobody screams out to be in a terrible position. I mean, San Marino, I think, could have hoped for Italy to be voting in the semi-final, but they always have an uphill battle on their hands. So,
or even Azerbaijan with Serhat being from Turkey, they could have benefited from that, but sadly they're not here either.
No, alas, no. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be good to watch. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, Italy don't always give San Marino the highest points. It's usually San Marino giving Italy more, I think. But even still, anything, I think, for San Marino is usually a bit of a bonus for them. But yeah, it does feel very, very open, which is exciting. You know, that the only, I think they're the only two countries now with the 100% record are Australia and Ukraine. But after that, you know, I would love to see some of these slightly less consistent countries making it through. You've got people like, Georgia. You've got people like the Czech Republic. You've got Montenegro. Even Finland, you know, they've been up and down so much, really. You know, it would be great to see them more regularly in the final if they can do it 2 years in a row. Belgium obviously had an off year. It could be the perfect thing for Belgium to rise right back up, because if there aren't a lot of heavy hitters, Elliot could really stand out if he has got a good song, which, you know, Belgium more or less have a good track record of. So we'll see.
And one other point, in recent years, Hungary's been so strong. Since returning, they've got perfect qualification. And I think Hungary borders Ukraine, doesn't it? They share a land border somewhere. Am I making this up?
No, I think,
anybody got a map?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, I just think Hungary's in a great position. Hungary, Ukraine, Australia, Belgium is looking good for y'all. I think if I had to say who are solid locks based on nothing, I would say that they, and Tomta, because her song slays, they are going to kill. All right, any other thoughts on semi-final 1?
No, not for me.
Well, now we turn to the semi-final of death at this moment. It is semi-final 2, and in the first half, we have Switzerland, who actually requested to be in this semi-final, and then powerhouse Sweden, Ireland, Austria, Moldova, Latvia, Romania, Denmark, and Armenia.
And then in the second half of semi-final 2, we have Albania, Azerbaijan. Do we still say FYR Macedonia or North Macedonia? What's our consensus?
I think we say the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, now known as North Macedonia.
Former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, Norway, Russia, the Netherlands, Croatia, Lithuania, and finally the island of Malta.
And the UK, Germany, and Italy will be voting in this semi-final.
So there are a lot of pairings here. Look at the Nordic bloc. Sweden, Denmark, Norway. I mean, that's a lot of points going back and forth there.
I mean, you've got Ireland were previously in that pot as well. So obviously, you know, there's a lot of points that will be going that way. But then, by the same token, you've got Ireland and Lithuania and Latvia. And that was a big, big thing. Ireland have regularly given Lithuania 12 points at every opportunity in the televote. Same with Latvia. There's such a huge Lithuanian and Latvian diaspora there. So that's a real big bonus for those two countries who, again, not always consistent qualifiers.
Yeah.
Romania, Moldova.
It's another strong pairing. Although equally, I swear, were they not in the same semi-final last year? And again, it did not have Romania on that occasion.
And then, of course, there's the unfriendly pairing of Armenia and Azerbaijan. No points will be exchanged. You know, in this bloodbath, what stands out to me is Russia. Of course, Sergei Lazarev is the heavily rumored artist. He is very strong. I think he's going to cut through no matter what. Mother Russia is going to want to come back big following their first ever elimination last year. And Russia can obviously rely on support from the Russian diaspora, which is all over the place, including Azerbaijan, Armenia, Lithuania, Latvia, I think politically to a lesser extent, but there are, of course, Russian speakers living there as well. Austria will, of course, benefit from Germany being in the semi-final. You know, this is just going to be tough. You're going to have to bring your A game. Switzerland, you better turn up and turn out or you're going home. Like, countries that typically struggle are really going to have to bring their A game because this is a bloodbath.
I agree, because, I mean, you tot it up and say Sweden and Russia aside, who tend to be locks unless something obscene happens in either instance. Them aside, you have kind of in the casual qualifier block of normal strong contenders, Armenia, Austria, Denmark, Moldova, Romania, Azerbaijan, Lithuania, the Netherlands, and Norway, which is a further 9 countries. So you're already at 11 if you're going on kind of the mathematics, statistics of it. So I think definitely Switzerland may have wished for a better semi-final. Similarly for Ireland, I don't think is necessarily a great spot. However, Ireland obviously made it out of the semi-final against the odds last year. And if you look back at where they got points from last year, there's a couple of friendly instances here. I also weirdly think Albania, you might expect to do quite well out of this. They have Macedonia voting in the semi-final amongst others from the area. But yeah, I mean, on paper, this is obviously much tougher. I do think if you're kind of the Malta or the Croatias of the Eurovision world, it's going to have to be something spectacular or drafting, or well, I was going to say drafting Eurolosko, but of course Malta's already picked their artist. But I do think these smaller countries are going to struggle to be seen and be heard. Equally, upsets have happened, so, remains to be seen what will happen. On the Nordics as well, I think often when they're all together like this, there is sort of a cannibalization effect where they tend to back one of them much more heavily than the others. In which case, with these 3, I would kind of bet my money more around Sweden and Norway than Denmark, per se, at this stage based on history. But I mean, all remains to be seen. But you have to say on paper that this looks like it's going to be a much more dangerous semi-final if you're not a strong qualification record country.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Latvia straight away stands out because there isn't a huge standout song in Supernova this year, and there's nobody really who I think would have a big... I don't think there's any of the contestants that would get a lot of votes from similar countries other than Lithuania and Ireland, so that's a real issue. I think the main thing to look out for is the countries where, like Azerbaijan and Armenia, where because they're constantly taking points away from themselves, now that's 24 points that in theory you could lose out to another song if it was that close. And that's a huge, huge hit, especially when you've got competition like this. And it bit both of them really badly last year. But, again, we say upsets can happen. Sweden could send Anna Bergendahl again, and we could have lightning striking twice, unfortunately. You just don't know. I think it's going to be really, really interesting, though. Switzerland, Austria, Germany, at least they have that trio as well. Ireland have the UK. Italy voting in this one, did we say? Because they'll vote. Yes, they'll vote for Albania, potentially. There's obviously that kind of little love-in still going on, so... Yeah. It's going to be really, really interesting, I think.
Hold up! Samantha Tina is cutting the wire. She is cutting the wire. Just kidding. I think Edgar's Krellis could do some damage. In any case...
I think my only thing that's going to be to talk about Austria and say that they've kind of become edging into guaranteed qualifier territory the past few years. So perhaps they are not one to watch out on.
I just feel for Croatia. Croatia's the one, they had, a good thing with Nina Kralic, a good thing with Jacques Hudek. I thought they had a great thing with Franca, but then it didn't make it through. Nothing is guaranteed. You guys need to turn up the heat or you will go down in flames. This is no joke.
And I think one thing to watch on in regards to Austria is to really see how they do this year, because if they get out of this semi-final as well, I think you have to consider whether they're now moving in the territory of being a more bankable qualifier. I mean, I think the past few years, since they came back in 2011, they've started to do much, much better and become much more reliable. I mean, nobody really thought they were going to finish 3rd last year when we went into Eurovision week. So, all to play for them. But obviously, I think with so many heavyweights, there are going to be surprises when we get to May.
It's just exciting. That's what I'm looking forward to. Again, I'm already looking forward to the second semi-final, so bring it on is what I say.
You guys, let's do something crazy and based on nothing and just predict who we think the big contenders this year will be. I am going to kick it off and say Cyprus, Russia, Australia, and potentially Sweden. I think these countries will be in the top 5 with the bookies based on intel, based on running order, and based on the aura I'm getting from the situation.
You want to go next, Chris? Or,
I will say Australia, I suspect, might win the first semi-final, particularly if the Shepherd song is as good as I hope it is. And second semi-final, if it is Sergei Lazarev, you have to think that there's going to be an amazing song. He would not come back unless he had an amazing song. So you'd lean that way. Sweden, we hear amazing things about the Anna Bergendahl and Margaret songs. Who knows? Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it.
So I don't know about the big hitters or winners, but certainly I think this could be a real comeback year for Estonia. I also think Belgium can expect to do quite well. I also weirdly from that semi-final, which is controversial, Iceland. I've been listening to songs a lot. I actually think there are quite a few songs there that could bring them back through to the grand final, but we'll do that all right. And then semi-final 2, it is obviously a bit of a bloodbath semi-final. I think Austria, I would expect to come through quite well as one of the underdogs. Trying to think who else. Also, Norway, I actually think has quite a lot of good songs in their hands. And just for the sake of being controversial, I think Malta we can see coming back and doing much better than they have done. I have good feelings about the whole effort of the X Factor process. So, yeah, I think, and the big hitters I'll decide on once I've heard more of the songs. But this is my feeling for underdogs this year.
I love how you guys dare to dream. Well, that's what we think. What do you think? What does the running order say to you? What are your first thoughts? Who is in? Who is out? Does it really matter at this point? Let us know here on wiwibloggs.
You go.
Make sure to hit that like button.
And make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow wiwibloggs. We're on all social platforms at wiwibloggs, and go check out the website, wiwibloggs.com, for all the latest Eurovision news you need.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.